So today's video, we're going to have a quick look, an update video on what's happening down behind my fence. A couple of you have asked to see an update, so we're going to have a look what I've been doing since the last time you've seen, what the challenges are, and what some of the plans are, what I'm going to do around here. So if any of you remember when I first opened up this, when I first took this fence panel out, it was pretty inaccessible. I mean, you could hardly get through the ivy, through just the bushes and brambles that were growing here, and the ivy was starting to take off. You can still see it's on the fence here, and that's one of the reasons I took on the job when I did, because I'd say it was really starting to get overgrown, encroaching into the garden. I'd wanted to come use this space for a few years now, but we were just finding the time and knowing how much work was going to be involved. So, you know, I've just put it off and been working on the rest of the garden, so this kind of sat as a back burner job. But we'll have a look in here now, look what we've done. It might not look like I've done too much, but believe me, I've put some effort into this. There's been a lot of rubbish down here. I mean, I've still got some mulching stuff that I just hide out the back here, but you can see these are some big trees that were rotten. This one fell over in the storm back in January. I've cut it up a little bit, still need to get rid of that. All stuff like these giant concrete blocks. I smashed these up a little bit just to make them more manageable. Still got to get rid of them. And then just been clearing it, and just many tip runs with this. I've not had a skip in to get rid of it. I've just been clearing it as I go, bagging it up, taking it to the tip, doing the best I can. Still a hell of a lot of work in here, but I feel like I'm making progress now. So if we step down, this post here, and there's another stake there, that's now going to be my new boundary line. I was originally going to go right up to the wall, but just to give access in case anyone ever wants access to this back wall here, I'm going to leave a metre gap, and then yeah, so my boundary is going to be in line here. It's still going to give me around just over 2 meters from where my fence line currently is, but then beyond that there's a good meter to the pond, and then yeah, I'll be able to utilize this space so much better. So we'll take a look down here. Right, so when you get down here, you see that I've got to build the ground up a fair bit, so I'm gonna have to dig. I'm gonna be digging out where this is. Once these trees come down, these will be coming down, I would imagine, within the next 4 weeks. So once these come out, I'll be able to start digging all the way down the width of the garden to put a footing in, and then there'll be a breeze block wall goes in to retain the soil level when I bring it up to ground level with the rest of the garden. Be a hell of a lot of work involved with that, and I don't know how many tons of soil to improve the soil and manure bringing in. I mean, to be fair, the soil's not terrible. It's had years of leaf litter and twigs decomposing down here. The ground's it's not the worst soil in the world, but definitely wants some improving. The main issue I've got is it's just had so much, you see here, just so much rubbish dumped in it, and there's plaster and all sorts in it. Well, I mean, I've got some of them bags are just full of rubbish as well. I've got rid of a lot of rubbish. I mean, if you see down here, who knows what this is, some sort of old maybe workbench or something, I don't know what it is. All the balls I've collected down here, somebody's lost a lot of balls. I think this bit here really does feel like you're quite a bit lower than the rest of the garden. If I get down to ground level here, right, so we're quite low here. I mean, not all, I am behind where I'm saying the fence line is going to be, but there's still a lot, there will be a lot to backfill. And so if you look from up above now, I'll take some shots from up above and have a look. You'll see the sort of space we're working with. I think it's going to be it's going to make it a real nice area to look back onto the finished garden. Well, not finished, no garden's ever finished, is it? But the garden that I've been working on for the last few years. You'll be looking back on this, which is an angle you didn't previously see. I'd only really get to where the bench was, and then you would never really look back into the garden. So to be able to use this space is going to be massive. I don't expect I'm going to get too much done this year. I'll be happy if the trees are down and the retaining walls built and then hopefully levelled off and just starting with a blank canvas. If I can get more than that done, brilliant. But money, time, they're the restraints I'm working with really. So my idea is, I think in this area here, between where the two trees currently are, I want some sort of hut so I can sit in and look back. So that I'll put up on screen what I would like that to look like. I don't know how big yet, but I think once it's a fully blank canvas, I think I might be able to visualise that a little bit better. And then I'm going to have the path's going to come round, so the continuation of the cobble path will come up, around, up against the fence line, out into this area, and we'll trace it down, and then swoop back around where this bit of the pond is, around near the summer house, which is still full of insulation, and tie back in. There is also going to be some sort of patio seating area outside the summer house that goes up to my little tiki man. So that'll take up a big space and get rid of the grass. And then working into this zone here, which is currently where all my stones are and my compost bin, just hidden behind the summer house. You don't see that from the house or from most of the garden. This will be transformed into a new large bed with plenty of space and opportunity for planting. And then my compost bin will be moving to this far corner here. I won't be able to fully square this off to the garden. It will have to come at a little bit of an angle just because of the way that drops down into that land down there. So I'll have to work out what I'm doing there. But I think essentially my compost bins will go in this area where this fence panel is that's coming down. I'll probably screen it off with maybe some bamboo, something to screen off the compost bin, and then that'll start into my new bed, which is a good 4 meters long, maybe 5 meters long. So I really will get a good planting space in. It's quite deep. All I need is space for my path to come round. I think where this intake bay is for the pond, I think I'm going to reduce this, change the filtration as I alter the pond. So I will also have a much wider space to put my path in through here. So this will get reduced significantly. And then yeah, it's going to be much easier to work with in this area. 'Cause currently it looks a little tight. If I bring my path round this way and then through this small gap here, it does look quite tight. So if I reduce that, making it easier access, it's just going to work better. So then coming back down here, I've got a few plans, I think, around where this stake is here. I think this is going to be where my Butiagris area spather is going to get planted. I'm finally going to plant it in this area, but not going to be this year. I imagine it's going to stay in a pot for another year. I can't imagine I'm going to be ready this year. If I am, brilliant, but I think I'm up against it to get. It might be too late in the year if I was to be ready for it. So I've got two options. I'm either going to build a more modern, contemporary not a retaining wall, like a raised bed with inset herringbone pattern brickwork, and then you can sit on the top, perch yourself on the top, and use it a bit like a bit of a bench. I think that's what I'm missing in the garden. I've not got enough seating, so if I could double that up as a seating area to look back, and let's see if we can get a view. You'll be looking back this way towards the pond, into the garden, somewhere to sit. It's kind of hard to visualise when you've got a fence in the way, but I think that's one option, to have, yeah, a new wall that I can sit on, double up, and then have the Butiagris in that. I can amend all the soils to make sure it's got good drainage, because this area down here is going to be a perfect spot for it, because this gets a lot of winter sun. I can't say that about all the garden. Some of it's quite shaded throughout the winter, but this really does get some nice sun. When I've been working down here, it's got, even when it's been really cold, it's got a nice bit of sun on it, and they warm up quite quickly. So I think it'll be a lovely spot for that. My other option is keep it in keeping with the rest of the garden, and a bit like where my tetrapanax is, I have just boulders and rocks and build up a raised bed like that, which I like the idea of both, but that one, I don't know, I might still be able to do it, but it'll be harder to make it so that you could still sit on it and stuff, and I'd probably plant within the gaps of the rocks. So yeah, you let me know what idea you think what you think would look best down here, because I'm happy to go with both. I've not got anything set in stone what I'd like. And then into this far corner, what I think I'm gonna do, we'll see. I think I'm gonna, that's me standing on all the rubbish. So into this corner then, I think what I'm gonna do is start off my stream in that far corner where that stake is, and run it down and back through into the pond with a tunnel, so I can have my cobble path over the top, so the stream runs under the path and then in. We'll see, yeah, if I can get that to work. I'd like to do that again. It's time. If I can actually do that. I'm not sure if I'll be able to pull that one off. I would like to do that. So the fence will come down along there, and then yeah, it's going to come between these two posts here, and then we'll have some, I'm going to have a couple of Trachycarpus down here. I've showed them in a previous video. In fact, my last video I showed you those two Trachycarpus hybrids, the Princeps hybrids ones that are going to get planted in here. They're only small. The quicker I can get them in, the quicker they can get established. It'd be nice to get plants in, because the rest of the garden's not super mature. It's still relatively new. So by doing this year, next year, it's not going to be too far behind the rest of the garden. It'll tie in quite nicely. So what I don't want is for it to just look like what it is. It's just an add-on. I want to incorporate, my path coming round, just so it always looks like it was here and it's always been intentional. And then basically from above, I think what will end up happening is the path will almost look like a figure of 8. So you'll walk around in a figure of 8. You'll be able to imagine coming down here, around, through here, back down, around, and joining up around here. Like I said, there'll be a patio here. So yeah, almost a figure of 8. I can't wait to get started with this, to be honest. It's going to be exciting to do this. I've already got plenty of plants that's going to go in here, but I'll need many more. Unfortunately, maybe this year the budget will be kind of spent on soils, and well, getting the trees down is a big expense. So getting plants in, it'll probably just be dividing what I've got, plants I've already got in the greenhouse or still potted, rather than buying new plants. But I think a few of the Scheffleras are going to go down here. Some bamboo. I've got a nice Arondodonax. I think might go into this area, but I might get planted this year and then potentially moved if I did want that. That's currently in the greenhouse. So to cover this wall, I may end up putting a large, maybe like some sort of large trellis all the way along the top of the fence, and something climbing across it. Passion vine, or jasmine, or clematis, maybe Clematis armandii across the back, because I did like the ivy on the building. It hides the building. It was a nice evergreen backdrop, but it was just getting way too much. So yeah, if I can cover that again somehow, that'll look great. And because now I'm not used to seeing this big white wall. I've not seen that for most of the time I've lived in the house, and now obviously stripping the ivy out, it's exposed it all. So the main challenge down here is the fact that everything has got to be taken out by hand, And when you get up to the top of the garden, I've got 5 steps taking me up onto the decking, so it's kind of hard to even use a wheelbarrow because the steps are steep. I can get to there, and then it's just impossible to get the wheelbarrow up the steps because they're so steep and short. It's just impossible. So I end up having to decant it out the wheelbarrow, back into the wheelbarrow to take it up to the car to get rid of it. So everything just takes time. And just about get a wheelbarrow down the steps, it drags me down like so. That'll be a bit easier when I'm bringing the soil, when I'm bringing all the soils in. But I mean, just bringing all the block work down here is going to be hard. There's a fair bit of work involved. So yeah, I'm not saying this is going to be a quick project, so bear with me, guys. We'll do what we can, and I'll keep you updated. For now, I think the fence is going to stay up until a lot of the work's done, until I really am ready to actually put it back up on top of the block work. There's no point in exposing a work site down here, at least by just keeping the fence up all by that one panel. It hides most of what's going on, and you're not looking at anything that's too unsightly. Because as summer comes, I'd like to have the garden looking in a good state rather than most of it done and then looking into this bit of a junkyard. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this quick update. Let me know what you think, any suggestions you might have, and I'm open to any planting suggestions you might have as well. Like I say, it's going to be a good space to plant and work with. So anything that you can suggest, I'm willing to take that on board. You know, I'm sure some of you have some nice suggestions. So I'll see you on the next one, guys. Thank you for watching.